Taylor. I wanted to talk to you tonight about following up effectively and handling common objections when sharing your Plexus business with others. Something that I hear quite often from people on our team is that they're frustrated because they are trying really hard to tell everybody about Plexus. They're so excited about Plexus products, and that they have lots of people who are interested and that ask them lots of questions and who say that they're excited to try the products and who say that they're going to order, and then they don't order, and they don't know why. So I want to talk to you a little bit about how you can stay in communication with them and follow up effectively so that they do eventually actually order. And the first thing that you have to do if you want people to order the products is you have to follow up, and then follow up, and then follow up again. If you think back, take a minute and think back to your own personal experience of when you were introduced to Plexus, and recognize that for most people, you didn't just immediately jump in and try the products. Sometimes that happens, but I know for myself, I was introduced to the products the beginning of November, and I was not interested. And then around the end of November or beginning of December, I started to become interested. But my neighbor Susan had to follow up with me really consistently for an entire month before I was ready to make a decision and actually give Plexus a try. And she was very consistent. About every 3 to 5 days, she'd send me an email or a Facebook message or a text just saying, hey, came across this testimonial and thought you might enjoy it. Or, hey, I wanted to give you a little bit more information about that product that we were talking about the other day. And it just kind of helped to keep it in my mind and helped me come to a point where I felt like I did need to make a decision one way or the other. And I really appreciate that she did that just about every 3 to 5 days. So follow-up in general is really important. Most people will take 10 to 12 follow-ups before they're ready to make a decision and act. So just know that that's common. Second thing to remember is that it's important to ask questions. And I love this at Leadership Retreat. We had a wonderful training by Victor Antonio. It was recorded, you can watch that. But one of the things he said that really struck me is he said, the average salesperson practices what to say. They work on their presentation. But the superior salesperson practices what to ask. And that's something that I've really had to learn the hard way, that it's important to ask questions. So when someone asks me, hey, what's this Plexus stuff that you keep talking about? I used to just kind of vomit a whole bunch of information all over them. I just couldn't help myself. I was so excited. I had to tell them all about everything about every product. And what I've learned now is when people ask me about what Plexus is, I immediately turn around and ask them a question. Well, why are you interested in Plexus? And then they'll tell me, oh, I saw this post about, sugar cravings. Oh, okay. Well, what is it about sugar cravings that you want to work on? When we learn to ask questions, we can find out what their why is, why they're interested in the products. And really, we don't want to talk about the products at all until you know what their why is. Otherwise, we tend to overload with too much information that's not even relevant to what they're wanting. And in most cases, people's whys will fall into one of 3 W's, 3 categories: weight loss, wellness, or wealth. So you want to find out what it is that actually has caught their interest. And that way you can give them information that's actually relevant to them. Another tip is that after you have been corresponding back and forth, you've been asking questions, really finding out what their why is, getting them the information that they need. At some point, I find that you really do need to tell them what to order. And I know that might sound bossy or kind of funny to you, but if you just say, oh, here's a bunch of information, just go to my website and look around and then order whatever you want. People get really overwhelmed by that, and they get on the website and they aren't sure what the products are and they aren't sure what they should start with. What I tend to do is once I feel like they are at a point where they say, yeah, I am interested, or yeah, I would really love to try these products. At that point, I'm going to go ahead and give them a recommendation of what I would order. Now, based on their why and based on other information they've given me, I'll say, you know what, my #1 recommendation for you would be the triplex, for example, of Slim, Slim, ProBio, and BioCleanse. And here's the reason why I think that would be great for you. If you can't quite swing that, my second choice would be Slim and ProBio. My third choice would be BioCleanse and ProBio. and I'll kind of give them all the price points, but I just made it very simple for them. And I don't even just stop there. Once I've given them, I assume they're going to order. I assume that they want these products. I tell them what I think that they should order, and I go ahead and even give them very detailed directions on how to order. I don't just say, just go to my website and order it, because sometimes when they get there, it gets confusing. So I even give them instructions. Let's go ahead and go to this website, click on Shop Plexus. At that point, you're going to decide if you want to order preferred or retail. And so I kind of go through the steps and just make it very straightforward for them. If you're looking for examples of things that you can say to people, we do have a document in our team Google Docs drive. If you don't know where that is, you can look on the magnifying glass on our Facebook page, just type in Google Docs, and it will pull up the link to our Google Docs drive. And in there, there's a folder called New Ambassador. And in the New Ambassador folder, there's a document called Sample Responses. And it just kind of says, if someone asks you this, here's a sample response you can send back to them, and you can just tweak it to be your own. But it'll save you some time when you're beginning and you're not sure what to say. The last point I want to make about following up is learning how to block objections. And again, this comes from Victor Antonio's presentation from Leaders Retreat. But he talked about how effective salespeople don't wait for their potential customer to bring up objections, because once somebody has publicly stated their opinion, once they say, this is too expensive for me, it becomes very difficult to change their mind and help them to overcome that objection. So it's better to actually just go ahead and bring up common objections before they have a chance to, and resolve those problems for them before they take a stance on it one way or the other. And that might sound confusing, but I think once you see a couple of examples, it won't be too hard. The 4 steps are listed there on the slide. You raise the objection yourself, you offer to resolve it, you demonstrate how to resolve it, and then you tie it down. So we are going to look at some examples of this. Some of the common objections, ones that I run into the most often, are, why isn't this FDA approved if it's good for you? Or even if they don't ask that, they'll say, well, is it safe? And I know that they're thinking in their mind, oh, I hope that this is, FDA approved and good for my body. Another thing that I hear a lot is, how much does it cost? And I like to say this is otherwise known as, it's too expensive. A lot of people come in with that already as their mindset. I just know it's going to be too expensive for me. I know I came in with that mindset. Another one I get all the time, I'm really skeptical it will work for me. Or I'm not a salesperson, I don't want to sell anything. Or, well, I kind of want to try the business, but I really don't know anyone. And I don't know, none of my friends would buy from me. Or I don't have time, I'm so busy. Or is Plexus one of those pyramid thingies? So we're not going to address every single one of these right now. I just want to give you some examples of a couple of them. And then in the coming weeks, I'll post examples of how I would respond to these different objections on the team page. So those will be coming up. But this was the example that Victor gave us. He said, if I hear all the time from people, why isn't this FDA approved? What I would do is, when I'm talking to people, before they ever even get a chance to ask me this, I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to say, one of the questions I always get is Plexus FDA approved? And then I'll say, let me answer that question by showing you a few things. At that point, you can either physically pull out some vitamin jars, or you can have pictures of them. Show them something that they would use themselves all the time. The Flintstone vitamins that you might have taken as a kid, or the gummy vitamins, and say, is this vitamin FDA approved? Is this one? And the answer is that no, health supplements are FDA approved. The tie down to that is that you're going to say, the question is not whether it's FDA approved. The real question is whether or not these products can help you. Wouldn't you agree? Then you give them a chance to agree with you. Okay. I just wanted to do 2 more really briefly. One I get the most often is the question, well, how much does it cost? People are obviously concerned about that. I know I was concerned about that. So here's what I do. Before they can jump to the conclusion that it's too expensive, when they ask me this question, I go ahead and raise the objection myself. I say, I know when we were first looking into trying Plexus, we were very concerned about the expense, because we are a single income family with 5 young kids. We have to watch every penny. I mean, really, we're the type of family that the majority of our clothes are all used clothes, even my own clothes. I shop at consignment stores. So I can relate to that concern. Now I'm going to help to resolve that issue. I say, in hindsight, we have found that Plexus has actually saved us some money. I'm going to demonstrate that now. I'm going to demonstrate how it saves us money. I can tell them about price per day. I can say, you know, depending on which products you order and how you choose to order, you know, Plexus can just run you about $3 to $4 a day in costs. And when we took a good hard look at what we were actually spending on junk food that was making us unhealthy, you know, I stopped at Sonic 2 to 5 times a week, and I usually dropped $8 to $12 each time because I had kids with me, and I would get them something as well as myself. My husband was going to the gas station in the mornings multiple times a week and picking up a 20-ounce soda and 2 donuts for about $4 to $5. He was buying things in the vending machine. We were going out to fast food a lot and supersizing our meals. Plexus helped us to naturally change our eating habits so we didn't crave those things anymore. So we found in hindsight we were actually spending less on the Plexus products than we would have on the junk food. And if you don't have your own story about that, you can share other people's stories. You can share my story. You can share the story of your friend who has given up their expensive coffee or other supplements. And then this is the important part, is that tie down. You want to help them to come to their own conclusion at the end by asking a good question. So you can say, how could Plexus save you money? Or another good question would be, what would you be willing to sacrifice just for 60 days? You don't have to give it up forever, but what would you be willing to sacrifice in order to achieve your health goals that you're wanting to get to? So can you see how that could be really, really helpful in helping them overcome that objection in their mind? If I'm too late and they already brought up, I can't afford it or it's too expensive before I got a chance to raise the objection, here's kind of how another way that I've approached it. Again, I just try to relate to them. I know where you're coming from. The expense of the products was a real concern for us too. We really didn't have the money for these products, but we were desperate to make it our health. And so that is honestly the reason that John and I decided to become ambassadors. With both of us wanting to use the product, getting them at wholesale really was a significant savings for us. And we hoped that just maybe we might be able to offset the cost of our own products slightly by sharing it with some other people. And then here's how I can demonstrate how it helps them. If you'd like, I can show you with our compensation plan how you, with just 3 to 5 customers, can pay for your own product. Then you can actually go through those numbers with them if they're interested. And then, you know, tie it down. Can you see how that would be a great solution to helping you out? So this is just a few things I wanted to share with you tonight. I hope that it was helpful. As always, feel free to reach out to us if you feel that you have questions about how some of this works. But just remember to follow up with your contacts. Keep sticking with them. I'm always amazed people that contacted me 6 months ago that I've just kind of followed up with a little bit here or there every couple of weeks, you know, and thinking that there's no way they're ever going to order, and then they'll surprise me and just jump in and order. So hang in there and have a great night, and hope you learned something. Thanks.